Well, see, this takes us into very deep levels, because I mentioned earlier that the more that we become aware of the scale of it, the more the answers become obvious when they're not here. So you're right when you say, okay, we get organized, and then people basically take over, and you basically got a version of the same situation. For me, it's all down, this may sound trite and far out, but it's the way I see it. It's down to self-identity. Everything changes with self-identity. So if you self-identify with being a human, you're self-identifying with limitation, with I can't, with it's not possible. You're self-identifying with that level where we have what's called organization. But if you self-identify with being ultimately beyond levels we call soul, which are just another level of experience, that level I call spirit, which is that state of pure awareness, and you realize that is the I, this is an experience. So all the labels of a human life, man, woman, race, religion, income bracket, all of it, they're experiences. They're not the I, they're an experience for the I, which is consciousness, and ultimately is beyond the world of any form. It's pure state of awareness. And when you move into that self-identity, while experiencing the human world, everything frickin' changes. Because from that point of view, what can happen? Okay, so if you do what you know to be right and refuse to cooperate, then what's going to happen? Authority is going to do what? To a human, it's like, oh my God, they'll do what? To that, who gives a shit? It's completely different. And the last book, the one before this one, is called The Dream, because this is a dream. It's an induced dream. And what I call the simulation is it's not a construct, it's an information source. It's like Wi-Fi. And this is decoding the Wi-Fi into the world we think we're experiencing. And how it decodes it and how it perceives it is dictated by how conscious people are, and how, when you are self-identifying with that ultimate I, pure awareness, the way that we decode the world looks very, very, very different. Suddenly, it's not so scary anymore, because we are on a eternal, infinite journey of experiencing forever. That's as bad as it gets. What we've done is got trapped, perceptually trapped, in this shite hole, basically. And as long as we perceive it in the way of the five senses, we'll stay in the trap, because the five senses are the trap. The five senses are the way that we lock into this simulation field and decode it into this reality. And once you start to self-identify, not conceptually, but you live it, from the point of view of spirit, awareness, consciousness, awareness, everything changes. When a bloke in a stupid hat and uniform tells you to do this, and you know it's not the right thing to do, you don't do it. And people say to me, "Well, if you don't do this, this is what's going to do. We'll do this." My response is, do it then. Do it then, because I'm not having it. I'm not doing it. You can do it. You can throw at me what you like. I'm not doing it. And what that attitude does is it starts to become infective. In terms of other people start to see that you actually can take authority on and survive. And it also means we're entering, it's also relevant to the fact we're entering this point where in terms of the five sense world, people are going to think, well, I've got nothing left to lose. Because all these things are happening to me, to the world. What am I to lose in doing what I know to be right, which is not to accept this anymore and not to acquiesce to this anymore? And it's like instead of sort of organizing this and having a committee and someone taking minutes, this expansion of awareness, this expansion of realizing that this world is not what we think it is, of realizing that we are not who we're told we are. This is just the vehicle. It totally transforms the way you see the world and what you are prepared to do. And it's like a wave, and more people will start to see it. And if they don't, this will happen. But I'm not still doing this at the age of 72 because I think there's no hope at all. I'm doing it because if humanity will just awaken to its true I and let go the phantom self that we're told to believe is us, then what we are prepared to do will completely transform. Because all the limitations of the five senses, you've got to obey authority, what are the consequences of not obeying, they all go. You suddenly don't give a damn except doing what you know to be right. And once you reach that point, the list of consequences disappear. When I'm deciding what I'm going to do and what I'm going to say, consequences never enter the equation, ever. Because when you reach that point where you're going to do what you know to be right, irrespective, and that's that point where you start to realize the true nature of self and the infinite nature of self, then suddenly you don't list consequences anymore. It's like, well, this is what I really think I should do. But what are the consequences of me not doing it? Well, the consequences will get long enough for you to say, I'd like to do it, but not that badly. Thank you very much. But once you go into this other level of self-identity, this infinite I instead of the phantom I, suddenly you don't even consider consequences. Or I'm not talking about the consequences of, I walk in front of a truck, I know what the consequences are going to be. And not that. I mean, the consequences of doing what you know to be right. And it becomes, it's like, apart from actually organizing the actual, this is where we're going to meet in those COVID marches, there was no other organization. It just people turning up to do what they believe to be right and doing it. And that's, for me, how this is going to transform. It's going to transform by people transforming themselves and collectively becoming that wave of transformation that says, I'm not intimidated anymore. I'm all that is, has been, and ever can be. What is there to be intimidated by? Well, we'll kill you. We'll do it then. I'll send you a bloody postcard, mate. Because, you're saying that I'm going to no longer be in this world. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll be in another one. And I'll probably thank you. But that's it, because this is the other thing about self-identity and keeping from us the nature of reality is we are controlled massively by fear of the unknown. The more this can keep this in a state of ignorance, the more this has unknown to worry about. And once you are in the realm of fearing the unknown, you're in the realm of fearing the biggest unknown, which is death. And when you kind of look at it, again, and religion has really muddied all these waters, but when you look at it dispassionately, the only thing that death is a transfer of attention. That's all it is. This human body, biological computer, is decoding, not least through the five senses, this simulation field, like a Wi-Fi field, just as a computer takes a Wi-Fi field and it puts it on the screen in a completely different form to how that information exists in the Wi-Fi field. That's what this is doing. And so when you enter this world, this is delivering to you constantly that decoded Wi-Fi field simulation. What happens at death is not that we die, consciousness doesn't die, it's that this vehicle that has been delivering this reality to you, so you believe it's real, ceases to function. And when it ceases to function, it ceases to deliver this reality to you, and you find yourself in another one. Look at all the millions of near-death experiences now telling basically the same story. I'll disagree with a lot of the interpretation, but the basic story is incredibly constant. They find themselves in another reality before they come back and the body is revived. And that's because this stops delivering this reality to them, and they found themselves in another reality, which means that they've been in the other reality all along. That's what death is. We are our consciousness is actually in another reality. That's why we can't see it. We can see levels of it, like the auric field, through technology, but we can't see consciousness because it's operating in another reality. What it's doing through the body is observing this reality, which is being delivered to it, and it becomes entrapped and mesmerized by it and believes it's real. And then once the body ceases to function, it ceases to deliver it, you're back where you always have been. There is no death. It's an illusion to entrap us. And so take the fear of death away. What's the worst thing that can happen? It completely transforms everything. We live forever. We are experiencing forever. And so what's it matter what Boris Johnson thinks? What's it matter if, Keir Starmer says this is going to happen? I've used this analogy so many times over the last 35 years. Someone comes out of the White House or Downing Street and says, we've had a discussion, this is what's going to happen. If enough people say we're not doing it, then we see where the power is. Remember the poll tax? Remember the poll tax? Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady, and completely in control. I say what goes. And enough, because the poll tax affected the middle classes, to a large extent, as well as the working classes, that division between the two was healed over this, and they came together, and they refused to pay it in vast numbers. What happened? The Iron Lady was out very soon afterwards. It destroyed her. And that's the power of taking down the fault lines that divide us. And when you start to move into this self-identity of I am awareness, a state of awareness, you then realize that you are a unique expression of the same awareness that everyone in this room is and everyone in this world is. I don't care if you call yourself middle class or working class or this religion, that religion, whatever. We're all expressions of this one consciousness. What we have been manipulated to do, and it's crucial to the whole conspiracy, is to forget that, to forget the true nature of the I. This is why it's not taught in the schools, and none of this is ever talked about in the media or anything, hardly at all. It's because it's crucial, because once we realize that the divisions between us are manufactured to bring about that very outcome of divide and rule, then we can put the fault lines down. I'm all that is, has been, and ever can be. What are you? I'm all that is, has been, and ever can be. I thought I recognized you. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Instead of, oh, I'm a Muslim, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm a Christian, and I'm right, and I'm left. And it's just, it's all there to mesmerize us and to divide us. And once we start to realize the true nature of the I, and that everyone is another expression of the same I,